Police detain dozens of Tibetan youth in New Delhi for trying to storm into the Chinese embassy. The protesters shouted slogans against the Chinese government while holding placards and waving Tibetan flags. Their protest comes a day after Tibetans in exile in India marked the 65th anniversary of the National Uprising Day. A ship belonging to Spanish aid group Open Arms, carrying 200 tons of food aid, continues to remain docked in the Cypriot port city of Larnaca. As United Nations has estimated a quarter of the Gaza population faces starvation, the vessel was expected to make a pilot voyage to Gaza, where Israel says it would inspect Gaza-bound cargo before it leaves Cyprus. Britain's Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton, has issued an apology on social media after the first picture of her after surgery was removed by major news agencies over fears it has been manipulated. The photo was taken by Prince William in Windsor this week. It was released by Kensington Palace to mark Mother's Day. Issuing a clarification, Kate said that, like many amateur photographers, she liked to experiment with editing and apologized for any confusion the family photograph shared had caused. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has dismissed Pope Francis's call for talks with Russia. Zelensky said the pontiff is engaging in virtual mediation. Earlier in an interview, Francis said that when things are going badly for a party to a conflict, one should show the courage of the white flag and negotiate. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba, while writing on social media platform X, said that the strong person in any dispute stands on the side of good. Ahead of the flag-raising ceremony to mark the Kingdom of Sweden's accession to NATO in Brussels, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg welcomed Sweden as the 32nd member of the alliance. In a joint statement with the Swedish Prime Minister, Stoltenberg said NATO is bigger and stronger. After Ukraine rejected Pope Francis's call to negotiate with Russia, Russia says it has reacted to the Pope's talk to end the war, saying that it was, quote, it was quite understandable for him to speak on negotiations. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that Russia was ready to sit down, but Kiev had ruled out talks due to its mistaken view that the West could defeat Russia. French President Emmanuel Macron postponed a planned trip to Ukraine for the third time since February. Earlier, Macron had planned to sign a bilateral security accord with President Volodymyr Zelensky. However, that was postponed after Zelensky visited Paris to sign the accord. The postponement comes just days after a Russian missile missed Ukraine's president and the Prime Minister of Greece by hundreds of meters in the Black Sea city of Odessa. Macron has accused Russia of being more aggressive towards France and Europe. Russian ambassador to the United States, Anatoly Antonov, says embassy in Washington is in close contact with the U.S. State Department ahead of the presidential election in Russia. This to ensure the security of the diplomatic mission. On the embassy's Telegram messaging channel, Antonov said in the condition of constant provocations, the Russian embassy works calmly. However, the Russian envoy did not specify what provocations he was referring to. Russian President Vladimir Putin is set to win a 6th term in March between 15th and 17th vote. Now, this will enable him to overtake Joseph Stalin and become Russia's longest-serving leader. Portugal's centre-right Democratic Alliance has won the general elections. Its leader, Luís Montenegro, said that though it was still unclear if he could govern without the support from far-right Chega, with whom he again refused to negotiate. Chega's parliamentary representation more than quadrupled to at least 48 lawmakers in the 230-seat legislature, giving the combined right a majority. Earlier, the leader of Portugal's centre-left socialists had conceded defeat in the parliamentary election. Pedro Nuno Santos' party came in second to its centre-right rivals by a razor-thin margin. China's National People's Congress has concluded with a message of unity and control, this after the revision of a law effectively granting the Communist Party more executive control over China's cabinet. Taiwan's top security official informed Parliament that China is trying to normalize drills near the island as China runs joint combat readiness patrols near Taiwan every 7 to 10 days on average. Recently, China had increased military activities near Taiwan. Most of the incursions are into the island's air defense identification zones and drills conducted by Chinese air and naval forces. Taiwan National Security Bureau Director General Tsai Ming-yen say Beijing usually dispatches around 10 warplanes and 3 to 4 naval ships on joint patrols near Taiwan. Vietnamese Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh held talks with New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon in Wellington. Reports claim the talks focused on boosting trade links between the two nations. Luxon said the meeting also aims to reinforce the strategic partnership and commitment to existing free trade agreements between the two nations. Earlier, Chin received a traditional Maori welcome outside New Zealand's parliament. Chin's visit to Wellington comes after he attended the ASEAN summit in Melbourne, Australia. In Australia, he and the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese agreed to elevate their bilateral relationship. A climate activist group threw red paint at the facade of a Lisbon hotel. The hotel is serving as the headquarters of the AD coalition. The demonstration took place as the Democratic Alliance was waiting for the election results. The group said their action is an act of protest, while stating that there is no victory in guaranteeing climate chaos. Following the incident, 4 people were detained. Scientists on an ocean census expedition to the boundary of the South Island have discovered around 100 new ocean species, and that is a number that is likely to increase. The team of scientists from Niwa and Te Papa in New Zealand collaborated with experts from the UK and Australia to collect almost 1,800 samples from as deep as 4,800 meters underwater along the 800-kilometer-long Bounty Thoroughfare. Dozens of mollusks, 3 fish, a shrimp were among the new species found in the expedition. Heavy rain in Bolivia's capital, La Paz, has prompted authorities to declare a state of emergency after overflowing rivers destroyed many houses over the weekend. Bolivian President Luis Arce has pledged to send heavy machinery and 3,000 troops to prevent further damage. Heavy rains caused flooding in several neighborhoods and isolated parts of the city by cutting water, electricity and roads. According to official data, one person died over the weekend in La Paz because of the heavy rains, while nearly 50 people have died in deluge across the country since the rainy season began in January. Flood water inundated the coastal town of Hampton in New Hampshire, United States. The town was seen swamped with seawater at high altitude and tides, marking the second major flood for New Hampshire this year. This comes after a powerful winter storm in January struck the US's east coast, affecting multiple states. Large pieces of wood and several trash cans were seen floating on the water's surface. The four-member SpaceX crew bid their goodbyes to the International Space Station on March 10th. The gesture ended their nearly 6-month mission aboard Space Station. According to NASA, the astronauts will bring home time-sensitive research to Earth. The SpaceX Dragon spacecraft is scheduled to undock from the space station at 1505 GMT today. After that, they will head towards an early morning splashdown off the Florida coast. Argentinian fans of Japanese anime Dragon Ball gathered at Buenos Aires' iconic obelisk to remember Akira Toriyama, the creator of the manga comic. The cartoon was based on fans sang the show's theme song and came together to do a Genkidama, a classic combat technique done by the characters in the anime. Toriyama died at the age of 68 from a blood clot in his brain. According to a new report, it's estimated the popular chatbot ChatGPT consumes over 500,000 kilowatt hours of electricity to respond to around 200 million requests on an everyday basis. Comparing these figures reveals that ChatGPT's energy usage surpasses that of an average household by more than 17,000 times. There are concerns that the wider adoption of technology could lead to an even bigger energy drain. If Google was to integrate AI into every Google search, it could lead to an annual electricity consumption of approximately 29 billion kilowatt hours. That's more than the yearly energy consumption of Kenya, Guatemala and Croatia. Chipmaker NVIDIA estimates that by 2027, the entire AI sector could consume anywhere between 85 to 134 terawatt hours annually. Japan's economy avoided a technical recession, even though the upward change in the fourth quarter GDP was weaker than expected and highlighted concerns about the sluggish economic recovery. Japan's revised gross domestic product expanded at an annualized clip of 0.4% in the October-December period from the previous quarter. The upward revision came amid growing market expectations the Bank of Japan could ditch its negative interest rates as early as this month, fueled in part by board members' recent hawkish comments that Japan was moving towards the central bank's 2% inflation target. In the current January-March quarter, the Japanese economy could suffer contraction after factoring in slowdown in the Chinese economy, production halt at a unit of Toyota Motor Core, and weak consumption. Resource-scarce Japan is shoring up long-term supplies of liquefied natural gas from close allies Australia and the US as key contracts from providers including Russia are set to expire by the early 2030s. LNG accounts for about a third of Japan's power generation, and it is the world's second largest importer behind China. It remains a key part of Japan's energy mix, even though imports fell by 8% last year to the lowest since 2009, as it has increased the use of renewable energy and restarted some nuclear reactors following a complete shutdown after the Fukushima disaster in 2011.